Hi, I'm John from Argentium, and today I'm going to be presenting the Argentium micro multiplate machine. Inside the box we have a bag of anodes, a pen plating adapter, a bag of electro cleaning salts, a set of rubber non-slip feet for the base of the machine, and the plating solution itself in a sealed bag with vermiculite to deal with any spills. The machine itself has a few loose parts. We have the two bus bars. They're held in place with O-rings. And three plating tanks. 1, 2, 3. In order to prepare the Argentium micro multiplating machine for use, first thing that we need to do is remove the crocodile clips on both bus bars. Set those to one side and lift out the three plating tanks. Removing the lids can be challenging. If you've never used the tanks before, you can remove them normally, but if you've used one previously and this is your second time opening, you must hold the tank very firmly on the work surface and carefully remove the lid to avoid any scenario where we spill the chemistry that's inside each tank. Once you've removed the three tanks, we're going to take some distilled water or deionized water. These are available supermarkets, hardware stores, and petrol station forecourts. We're going to fill up the two tanks on the left up to 1 centimeter from the top. This is not critical. And place both tanks into the plating machine. Next up, we'll take the third tank and place that in the last hole. We need to take our plating solution. Comes in a bottle with a childproof cap. Carefully remove the lid and pour all of the contents into the plating tank. Replace the lid. If you're going to store your machine for a long period of time and don't intend to use it, this is the safest place to keep your plating solution stored. Next, we need to take our bag of electrolytic cleaning salts, and we're going to place half of those. Again, it's approximate, the values aren't critical. Half of those into the very left-hand tank. You can use one of your bus bars to stir this. Pull the O-ring back, stir, and when complete, use a piece of kitchen towel or blue roll just to wipe off the bus bar. Now we can replace both the bus bars. I'm just going to roll my O-ring back down into position. And then you can adjust the O-rings to have a nice fit on the bus bars. We're going to replace the crocodile clips. The red goes on the rear, that's positive, known as the anode, and the black goes on the front, that's known as the cathode, and that's negative. The machine is now in a standard situation and is ready to plate. We're now in a position where we're ready to plate. First thing that we'll talk about is the plated solution that we're providing with the Argentium micro multiplate machine. This is an 18 karat yellow gold plating solution. It's very, very versatile. It can plate at room temperature, which is 20 to 30 degrees centigrade. It can plate up to 10 microns. It can also pen plate, and it will plate over stainless and non-stainless steel. So there's 3 things there that you wouldn't normally find. Normally you wouldn't find room temperature, you wouldn't find pen and tank at the same time, and you certainly wouldn't find a solution that would plate over stainless. So very, very robust, very versatile. Equally, the color is absolutely fantastic. So what we need to understand when we're going to electroplate an item is that plating is the final touch. That means after the plating procedure has taken place, there's no scope for any further processes. So we need to completely finish our piece, polish our piece, set any stones, and prepare the piece for plating by cleaning it. If you don't have an ultrasonic cleaning machine, my recommendation is to use washed up liquid and hot water and a soft toothbrush, or even just your fingertip, to massage and rub and clean your piece. What we don't want to do is introduce any scratches. However, that said, once you're happy that you've finished your piece, it's now time to prepare to plate. What we're going to do is wire our piece up loosely. I prefer to use a copper wire, but you can use a copper, silver, or gold wire for this process. I wouldn't recommend using any other wires, as the metals I've mentioned are the most stable. We want the piece to be loose and not tight. Now we're going to go to the electro cleaning process. So we'll remove our bus bars, lift out our tanks. These are already filled, so holding very, very firmly on a work surface, we can pop the cap on each of our tanks. You'll see that I've labeled mine. The reason why I label them is so that I don't mix the chemistry between the tanks. Whilst these chemicals are all slightly tolerant of each other, it's best to avoid as much drag out or tank to tank contamination as possible. So holding very firmly to avoid any scenario where we might spill these chemicals and create ourselves a problem. First job that we're going to do after opening the tanks, replacing the bus bars and reconnecting the leads, is electro cleaning. For electro cleaning, we need to use the stainless steel anode. This is the white thick metal anode in the kit. What I like to do is give them a good squeeze, close this gap so that when we put it into the tank, it's a mechanical fit. So we're going to insert that into the cleaning tank, nice and snug. And then we're going to replace the leads. Red for the rear, which is the anode, positive. Black for the front, which is the cathode, negative. Going to ensure that the multi-turn dial is all the way to the left, which is down, that the agitation switch is off, and that we're in the plating, on the plating stripping switch. Our piece is wired up. It's now going to go into the cleaning tank. At this point, we can turn the machine on and slowly increase the power until we see current, which is the blue number, on the display. And we will see in with the workpiece, make sure my connections are good, in with the workpiece we will see fizzing start to take place on the surface of the work. This is a visual indication that the plating process is taking place. It's starting to evolve small bubbles and gases now, which means cleaning is happening. This process usually takes about 30 seconds. And the reason why we do this is to ensure that there's no grease or oil on the surface of the workpiece. If there's any grease or oil on the surface of a workpiece, the plating solution will not be able to come in contact with the workpiece, and that piece won't be plated during the plating process. It will remain silver if the substrate is silver. We can use this mechanism to our advantage by using something like lacquer mitt, a stop out pen, or even nail varnish to mask off areas during the plating process, and we can remove that later. For example, you might want to paint the face of a signet ring, plate the entire piece, the shank and the body will be yellow and the face will be white. Once the cleaning process is completed, we can lift the piece out of the plating tank turn the machine off, turn the multifunction dial all the way down to 0, lift the piece out of the plating tank, shake off any drips, back into the tank it came from and into the rinse water, and it can just sit there whilst we also get our anode, because we're going to use our anode, our stainless steel anode, for the gold plating process as well. So we're going to put that into the rinse tank, give it a good rinse, rinse. And in order to minimize drag out, like we mentioned earlier, we're going to use a piece of paper towel just to absorb any extra liquid that's on the anode. Once you're happy with that, we can insert that directly into the gold plating solution with a nice mechanical clip fit, because we squeezed it closed. Now, it's very important when we go to gold plating that we minimize, we turn the multifunction dial all the way to the left. The reason for this is if it's at a high power setting and we turn the machine on and we have too much power for the piece, we can burn the plating solution onto the surface of the piece, and it will be dark, it will be rough and unattractive. We'll have to take the piece back to polishing, then we'll have to re-clean the piece, re-degrease in the cleaning tank, rinse and come forward to plate again. So it's very good practice to always turn the multifunction dial all the way to the left before turning the machine off and going to the next process. Now, I teach the fingertip method when we're calculating the surface area of any given object. So one fingertip is equivalent to 1 square centimeter. So I can, for example, with this bottle, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's approximately 12 fingertips or 12 square centimeters for the outside of this cap. It'd be 12 inside, so we've got in total 24 square centimeters of surface area if we were to plate this. And if I take forward the 24 square centimeters and I multiply it by the amps per square centimeter, 0.08, I know that I need to have 0.192 amps on my digital display to ensure I have the right power for this amount of surface area. The ring that we're plating today is 8 fingertips, and that works out at 0.064 amps. So when we're ready, we can take our piece to be plated from the rinse tank, shake off any excess liquid, place it into the plating tank, ensuring that the piece is fully submerged. I need to go a little bit deeper there with my wire. The piece is fully submerged, it's in the center of the tank. I can now turn the plating machine on and I can start to dial up towards the power setting. When we're placing, there's absolutely no reason why you can't place your crocodile clip directly onto the workpiece to ensure a good connection. There we go, 5 and 6. So we want to be between 6 and 7. That's exactly where we want to be to plate this piece, and we can see that bubbles are now being evolved on the surface of the workpiece. This plating solution can plate out 1 micron every 8 minutes at room temperature. So we need to determine how much we wish to plate. You can plate as little as 0.1 microns, half a micron, 1 or 2. The international standard for vermeil, it's spelled vermeil, is 2.5 microns. That's a legal standard in the United States. That does not exist in the UK. And typically we see 2 microns here in the UK as a standard thickness of plate for gold plating. So set a timer on your phone, plate for the requisite amount of time. And once it's done, we'll turn the machine off and take the piece out, put it straight into the rinse tank. From the rinse, we can go to tap water or deionized water, and then we'll use a paper towel to dry the article, and we will dab carefully, not rub. And then I like to use a hairdryer to completely dry my piece, or you can find a warm place to put it to completely dry. But at that point, the piece will be finished. Let's fast forward to 8 minutes now, and we can lift the piece out. Our plating process is now complete, so we can turn the power off, and we'll immediately wind the multifunction dial all the way down to 0. Very good practice to do that. Unclip the crocodile clip, Lift the workpiece from the rinse tank, give it a rinse, lift from the plating tank, go into the rinse tank. You can give it a second rinse in tap water. I'll just remove the wire. Dry the piece by dabbing, not rubbing. And that is the piece plated and complete. Now the next question is, what do we do to store the machine for future use? First thing that we'll do is remove the anode, shake off any drips into the plating tank, place it in the rinse tank, give it a good rinse. Use your paper towel to absorb any excess rinse water. Place that back in the anode bag to keep it clean and safe for future use. We're going to remove both of our crocodile clips and the buzz bars. And we're going to lift out one tank at a time. I'll start with the Electro clean. I've labeled my lid so that I don't mix up my chemistry. I'm going to push down very firmly with the palm of my hand till it clicks and place that immediately back into the tank holder. The rinse water will work from batch to batch to batch. You need to really change it if it's giving you any issues. But if you do wish to dispose of it, you can add 1 teaspoon of regular household bleach, wait for half an hour, and you can drain pour it. You're going to be able to get a good 5 or 10 goes out of that before you need to consider changing it out. And finally, we'll take the plating tank. Now, as mentioned earlier, if you're not going to use your machine for a long time, decant back into your childproof cap bottle. This is the safest place to store your plating solution. Final lid, back into the plating machine. We're going to replace the buzz bars. And then reclip our clips. Red for the rear, black for the front. Unplug, and now the machine is ready to go on the shelf until next time. When you purchase your Argentium microplate machine, there's a full set of digital downloads available to you. So the safety data sheets, the manual for the machine, and some more advanced information for the plating solution is available. I strongly recommend reading all of those instructions before attempting to plate with the unit.